Trump's new law will make the world prepare to receive the Antichrist. What I'm about to show you happened so quietly that most people missed it completely. While America celebrated what politicians called economic victory, a single signature on a single piece of legislation may have just activated the final countdown to the mark of the beast. I am going to show you 5 discoveries about Trump's new law that will make the world prepare to receive the Antichrist. Discovery 1. The day everything changed. July 18, 2025, 2:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the Oval Office, President Trump lifts his pen and signs his name on a piece of legislation that most Americans have never heard of: the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act. The cameras flash. The politicians smile. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen calls it a landmark achievement for American financial leadership. The media coverage is overwhelmingly positive. Within hours, cryptocurrency markets surge. But here's what none of the celebration mentioned. Hidden in the 247 pages of technical regulatory language is a single provision that changes everything. A few sentences that most people will never read, buried between discussions of reserve requirements and compliance standards. Section 4.2.1 states, all stablecoin issuers operating within United States jurisdiction must maintain the technical infrastructure necessary to comply with lawful government orders regarding the freezing, seizure, or destruction of issued payment stablecoins, including real-time implementation capabilities. Did you catch that word? Destruction. Not suspension. Not investigation. Not temporary freezing while disputes are resolved. Destruction. Complete elimination. Digital annihilation. But the true significance of this moment goes far beyond what happened in that room. Because while President Trump was signing what he believed was economic legislation, something else was occurring that most people missed entirely. 137 countries, all implementing compatible digital currency systems, all within the same 72-hour window. And that brings us to the most chilling aspect of July 18, 2025. While politicians celebrated economic innovation and financial experts praised technological advancement, something far more significant was actually taking place. For the first time in human history, the technology now exists for universal surveillance of every financial transaction on Earth. The legal frameworks are in place for governments to control all digital commerce instantly. The international cooperation is established for coordinated economic enforcement across all major nations. Every component needed to implement the Mark of the Beast system described in Revelation 13 is now operational. The infrastructure is complete. The precedents are established. The public is conditioned. The international coordination is functional. All that remains is the crisis that will make universal implementation seem necessary, and the leader who will make it happen. The system that enables universal surveillance was sold as protecting privacy. The framework that allows instant economic exclusion was praised as ensuring financial inclusion. President Trump called it genius because he believed he was protecting American economic interests. July 18, 2025 may have been the day that choice was removed forever. You're about to discover 5 terrifying connections between this new law and the beast system of Revelation 13. And the 5th connection will reveal why this had to happen before Jesus returns. Connection 1. The power to destroy what you own. Look again at what Revelation 13:17 actually says. And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. The mark system doesn't just restrict commerce for non-compliance. It eliminates economic existence entirely for those who refuse to submit. Throughout history, persecution has always left some escape routes. Even under the most oppressive regimes, black markets existed. Alternative currencies emerged. Barter systems developed. People found ways to trade outside official channels. But the burn capability eliminates all of these historical escape routes. In modern dictatorships, citizens use foreign currency or cryptocurrency to escape government control. But once all currency becomes digital, and once all digital currency has burn capability built into its core programming, these escape routes disappear. Now consider how this connects to biblical prophecy about forced worship. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Revelation 13:15. But here's what gives me hope, even in the face of this terrifying capability. The Bible doesn't just prophesy about the mark system's power. It also prophesies about its limitations and ultimate failure. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up for ever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Revelation 14:11. Those who refuse the mark may lose everything on earth, but they gain everything in heaven. The choice is coming. The technology exists. The legal framework is established. The global cooperation is operational. When your digital currency is threatened with burning unless you submit to the beast system, what will you choose? Connection 2. When enemies become allies. But here's something that should shock every student of biblical prophecy. This law passed with unprecedented bipartisan support. When was the last time you saw Republicans and Democrats agree on anything controversial? When did the House of Representatives last vote 308 members in favor of any significant legislation? The two parties seem incapable of finding common ground on even the most basic issues. Yet somehow, digital currency regulation united politicians who disagree about everything else. Instead, the vote was 308 in favor, 127 against, a 71% approval rate in the most polarized Congress in modern American history. Now compare that to what Revelation 17:13 tells us about the end times. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. The Bible prophesies that world leaders who normally fight each other will mysteriously unite behind the beast system. Despite their surface disagreements about everything else, they'll have one mind when it comes to supporting the infrastructure of global control. But this prophetic unity isn't limited to America. It's happening globally on a scale that should terrify anyone who understands biblical prophecy. According to the Atlantic Council's Central Bank Digital Currency Tracker, 137 countries representing 98% of global GDP are exploring or implementing digital currencies. Think about what that means. Countries that have been at war for decades are building compatible financial systems. Nations that impose trade sanctions on each other are creating interoperable digital payment networks. Governments that can't agree on basic diplomatic protocols are harmonizing their monetary surveillance capabilities. This pattern repeats across every major geopolitical conflict zone. Nations that can't cooperate on anything else are mysteriously cooperating on digital financial infrastructure. But here's what makes this cooperation even more disturbing. It's not just happening at the government level, it's happening at the technical level, the corporate level, and the international organization level. The same financial institutions that are subject to sanctions are participating in international digital currency development through intermediary bodies. The same international organizations that can't resolve basic diplomatic disputes are successfully coordinating complex technical standards for global financial systems. It's as if the normal rules of international conflict and cooperation don't apply when it comes to building infrastructure for digital currency control. Now look at what Psalm 2:2 says about this phenomenon. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. World leaders will unite in opposition to God, even when they can't unite on anything else. Their hatred for God's authority will overcome their hatred for each other. And Daniel 7:23 tells us about the scope of this unity. Thus he said, "The fourth beast shall be diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces." Not part of the earth, not some nations, the whole earth. Universal dominion requires universal cooperation. And that's exactly what we're witnessing with digital currency adoption. And here's what makes this forced universality particularly prophetic. Look again at what Revelation 13:16-17 tells us. "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." Notice the word all. Not most people, not many people, all people. Universal participation isn't optional. It's mandatory. But universal participation requires universal infrastructure. And universal infrastructure requires the kind of unprecedented international cooperation we're witnessing with digital currency implementation. For the first time in history, we're seeing global coordination specifically designed to eliminate alternative economic systems, not just to create a new system, but to ensure that no other systems can survive. Cash is being phased out through policy coordination. Precious metals are being regulated through harmonized international standards. Cryptocurrency is being controlled through coordinated regulatory frameworks. Barter systems are being monitored through digital tracking technologies. Every alternative to the official digital currency system is being systematically eliminated through international cooperation that overcomes traditional political divisions. But here's what gives me hope, even in the face of this terrifying coordination. The Bible doesn't just prophesy about the beast system's temporary success, it also prophesies about its ultimate failure and the unity that will replace it. "And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever." Revelation 11:15. The false unity of the beast system will be replaced by the true unity of Christ's kingdom. The cooperation that serves Satan will be superseded by the cooperation that serves God. The coordination that oppresses humanity will give way to the coordination that liberates creation. The system that will enforce the mark of the beast is being coordinated by enemies who mysteriously become allies. Connection 3. The final death of financial privacy. The Genius Act isn't just about regulating digital currency. It's about eliminating the last refuge of financial privacy: cash. But here's what most people don't understand about how this elimination process actually works. It's not happening through direct government mandate. It's happening through systematic market manipulation that makes digital payments irresistibly convenient, while making cash transactions increasingly difficult, expensive, and suspicious. Let me show you exactly how this process operates, because once you understand the mechanism, you'll realize we're watching the methodical construction of a cashless society that will make the mark of the beast system inevitable. Phase 1. Digital incentivization. The Genius Act creates regulatory frameworks that make digital currency more trustworthy, more secure, and more convenient than physical cash. Stablecoin issuers now have federal backing. Digital transactions gain legal protections that cash transactions don't enjoy. Electronic payments offer rewards, benefits, and features that paper money can't provide. Why carry cash when your digital wallet offers 2% cashback on purchases? Why use physical currency when electronic payments are instant, trackable for tax purposes, and protected against theft? Why deal with paper money when digital currency can be programmed to automatically pay bills, invest surplus funds, and optimize spending patterns? The convenience isn't accidental. It's engineered to create behavioral dependency on digital systems. But convenience is only the first layer of the strategy. Phase 2. Cash penalization. While digital payments become more attractive, cash transactions become more burdensome. Banks charge fees for cash withdrawals. Merchants offer discounts for electronic payments while adding surcharges for cash transactions. Government agencies make digital payments faster and easier while creating paperwork requirements for large cash transactions. It's not that cash becomes illegal, it just becomes impractical. Consider what's already happening in pilot programs around the world. In Sweden, most businesses now refuse cash entirely. Customers who insist on paying with physical currency face longer wait times, additional fees, and limited service options. Cash transactions require special procedures, manager approval, and extra documentation. The result? Even people who prefer cash eventually switch to digital payments to avoid the hassle. In China, cash transactions are becoming so rare that some young people have never handled physical currency. Mobile payment apps like WeChat Pay and Alipay dominate all commerce. Vendors who accept cash are viewed as outdated, suspicious, or potentially criminal. But the penalization goes beyond inconvenience. It extends to social stigmatization. Phase 3. Cash suspicion. As digital payments become the norm, cash transactions begin to seem suspicious. Why would someone insist on untraceable payments unless they have something to hide? What legitimate reason exists for avoiding the security and convenience of electronic currency? But universal participation in an economic control system is only possible if alternatives are eliminated. As long as cash exists, people can still transact without the mark. As long as barter systems operate, people can still trade without digital surveillance. As long as alternative currencies function, people can still escape central control. The mark system requires the complete elimination of all alternative economic options, and cash elimination is the crucial first step in that process. Once cash disappears completely, financial anonymity disappears with it. Every purchase you make gets tracked. Every transaction you complete gets recorded. Every economic decision you make gets monitored and analyzed by algorithms that can detect patterns, predict behaviors, and identify non-compliance. But here's what makes digital currency surveillance far more sophisticated than any previous tracking system in history. The total surveillance architecture. Physical surveillance requires human observers, cameras, and physical presence. Even the most oppressive regimes couldn't monitor every transaction, every purchase, every exchange of value between individuals. Digital currency surveillance operates automatically, continuously, and comprehensively without human intervention. If your digital currency is programmed to refuse transactions for certain political donations, you can't appeal to a human decision-maker when your payment gets rejected. The algorithm makes the decision instantly based on predetermined parameters. There's no customer service representative to call, no manager to speak with, no court to petition. Your money simply stops working for purchases the system disapproves of. Now consider how this connects to the biblical description of the mark system. The mark isn't just an identification system, it's an access control system. Only those who have the mark can participate in economic activity. Everyone else is excluded automatically. Programmable digital currency creates exactly this kind of automatic exclusion mechanism. Your money can be programmed to stop working entirely if you don't have the proper identification, if you don't meet the compliance requirements, if you don't demonstrate the required loyalty to the system. No human enforcement is needed. No police raids are required. No court orders are necessary. But here's what makes this exclusion particularly cruel. It's designed to create maximum psychological pressure on non-compliant individuals and their families. One of the most effective features of programmable digital currency is its ability to create targeted pressure on mark refusers through their relationships with compliant family members. Imagine a scenario where a father refuses to take the mark, but his wife and children have accepted it to maintain their economic access. The father can't buy food, medicine, or housing because his digital currency has been deactivated for non-compliance. But his family members can still make purchases. They just can't share those resources with him because the system tracks resource transfers. Throughout history, even the most oppressive governments couldn't prevent families from sharing resources secretly. Parents could always find ways to feed their children. Spouses could always discover methods to support each other. Programmable digital currency eliminates these family support networks by making resource sharing detectable and punishable through automatic systems. For the first time in human history, refusing government compliance doesn't just risk your own welfare. It threatens everyone you care about. But here's what gives me hope, even in the face of this terrifying surveillance and control architecture. The Bible doesn't just prophesy about the mark system's power. It also promises supernatural provision for those who refuse it. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. Revelation 12:6. While the beast system can control digital commerce, it cannot control divine provision. While programmable money can restrict earthly transactions, it cannot limit heavenly resources. While surveillance algorithms can track electronic behavior, they cannot monitor spiritual supply. God has been preparing for this exact scenario for thousands of years. The same God who fed millions of Israelites in the wilderness, who provided for Elijah during famine, who multiplied loaves and fishes, who supplied all needs according to his riches in glory. That God is not intimidated by programmable currency or surveillance algorithms. The elimination of cash makes the mark system possible. But the elimination of cash also makes divine intervention necessary. And God specializes in providing for his people when human systems fail. The choice is coming. Cash is disappearing. Digital surveillance is expanding. Programmable control is being implemented. When your financial privacy is completely eliminated, when your money can be programmed to control your behavior, when your economic survival depends on compliance with the beast system, what will you choose? Will you trust in the security of digital currency that can be destroyed instantly? Or will you trust in the provision of God that can never be taken away? The final death of financial privacy is making that choice inevitable for every person on Earth. Connection 4. The false peace deception. But here's what makes this entire system so deceptively dangerous. It's being marketed as exactly the opposite of what it actually creates. Listen to how political leaders are describing the Genius Act: economic innovation, American leadership in digital assets, financial security for all Americans, technological progress that benefits everyone. It sounds like prosperity, security, and national advantage. Who could oppose economic innovation? Who would be against financial security? This perfectly fulfills the biblical prophecy about false peace before sudden destruction. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The mark of the beast system won't be presented as oppression. It will be presented as salvation. Not as control, but as protection. Not as enslavement, but as security. Every tyrannical system in history has sold itself as beneficial to those it seeks to control. The propaganda always emphasizes the advantages while hiding the true cost. But here's what's particularly deceptive about the current marketing campaign. The benefits are real, at least initially. Digital currency systems do offer convenience, efficiency, and certain types of security. The early adopters will experience genuine advantages. That's what makes the deception so effective. The system actually delivers on its promises for those who comply fully and quickly. It's only later, after widespread adoption, after cash alternatives disappear, after the infrastructure becomes indispensable, that the true nature of the system reveals itself. By then, it's too late to choose differently. Connection 5. The spiritual war behind the technology. Here's what most people don't understand about the mark of the beast. It's not ultimately about economics, technology, or even government control. It's about worship. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Revelation 13:16-17. Notice the context. This passage comes immediately after describing how the world will worship the beast. The mark isn't just an economic identifier, it's a spiritual declaration. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12. What we're witnessing isn't just political maneuvering or technological advancement. This is spiritual warfare using human institutions as weapons. Satan knows his time is limited. He knows Bible prophecy must be fulfilled exactly as written. So he's using well-meaning people, beneficial-sounding policies, and genuinely useful technologies to build the infrastructure for his final rebellion against God. The politicians who signed this law aren't evil conspirators. Most of them probably consider themselves Christians, but they're being used by spiritual forces they don't recognize to accomplish purposes they don't understand. What happens to those who refuse? But here's where the story takes a turn that most people never hear. While the world celebrates the convenience and security of the new economic system, those who understand biblical prophecy face an impossible choice. Take the mark and participate in the economy, or refuse the mark and face consequences that most people can't imagine. Let me walk you through what the Bible reveals about what happens to those who choose to refuse. Economic starvation. The first consequence is designed to break you psychologically before it kills you physically. Economic exclusion means you can't buy food, medicine, housing, or basic necessities. But here's what makes it particularly cruel. You get to watch everyone else live normally while you and your family suffer. The system wants you to see marked families eating while your children go hungry. They want you watching marked individuals living comfortably while you lose everything you've worked for. The emotional torture becomes worse than physical pain. Every day you hold out, your family suffers more. Every day you resist, life becomes more impossible. The pressure will be unlike anything you've ever experienced. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know about this seemingly hopeless situation. Divine provision. While the world's economic system shuts you out, God activates a provision system He's been planning for thousands of years. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. Revelation 12:6.
Many seem to be confused because they do not understand the book of Revelation. However, what if there was an animation showing the entire book? Well, we created that. And to watch that, click here.